My name is Jason Braganza. I'm the Executive Director at the African Forum and Network on Debt and Development, one of the co-conveners of the 5th African Conference on Debt and Development held here between the 27th and 29th of August in Accra, Ghana. The theme was under reparations and reparative justice, looking at Africa's debt crisis through this perspective. I think there are 4 points that we need to take away from this conference. The first one is the issue of Africa's debt crisis, both historical, present, and potentially the future, needs to be looked from a perspective of reparations and reparative justice. The biases and the brokenness of the global financial system is a testament of the perpetuation of historical injustices that have been imposed on the people of the continent. And so that's the first one, that we cannot ignore that the debt crisis has very deep-rooted historical injustices, both in terms of the forced and illegal movement of Africans from the continent to other parts of the world, particularly the Caribbean, North America, and Europe. The second one is to appreciate that this is an important moment for the African continent. This year, 2025, has been dubbed the theme of reparations by the African Union and the African Union member states. And so it's a very important moment to link the issue of reparations to the broader Agenda 2063 of the African Union, the Africa we want, that integrates this kind of conversation with the economic transformation agenda that we're discussing. The third one is to appreciate that as a continent, we cannot discuss reparations, reparative justice, and addressing the debt crisis in Africa without bringing in our colleagues, our comrades and friends from other parts of the world, the diaspora, those who are in the Caribbean, those who are in North America, those who are in Europe. They are a key part of this conversation because to a very large extent, many of them, millions of them, tens of millions of them, constitute what in modern day language we would call the brain drain of skills, assets, labor that was taken away from the continent over 500 years ago and taken to work on plantations, taken to work as part of the Industrial Revolution in the Caribbean, in North America, and in Europe. So we need to reconnect as African citizens with the diaspora and people of African descent in these other parts of the world in order to make sure this conversation brings us all together in one way. The final point that we're taking away from the conference this year is that there are many interconnected dimensions that we must keep in mind when we're talking about debt, reparations, and reparative justice. It's not just about economics. There's the issue of climate. When you think about the climate emergency that we are currently facing, a lot of those impacts are as a result of a gradual destruction of the climate to either feed the transatlantic slave trade, to feed into the Industrial Revolution that created the developed countries in Europe and in North America, but also issues that involve women and gender and feminist approaches. To a very large extent, we ignore these dimensions in the analysis, forgetting that women played a very important role as contributing to the struggle for independence, contributing to the conversations on reparations, but also were significant and major victims over the past 500 years through the slave trade and so on and so forth. So for me, those are the big 4 points that we would be taking away from this 5th African Conference on Debt and Development.